So going for Mind Spring, X is 16, draw X cards. So up to 21 cards in hand, making a 16/16 Hydra. Oh, and then a Mana Reflection, so, God, what is that? Doubling the mana, then tripling it. This video is brought to you by Harold Sack, who gave me a massive 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon. Up against 3 patrons today, which hasn't happened in forever. I'm playing Tovolar, Dire Overlord, tangling with Zaxara, Codie, and Kadeen. This hand is good, but we're going to run out of cards pretty quickly if we're not careful, but I don't think that's a good enough reason to ship it back, to be fair. Just some tap lands from my opponents. We will drop a Forest. Sol Ring into Gruul's Signet sounds good. Alright, and a Nature's Law as well, so can we... Let's just get down... Well, we might want a tap land. Well, we definitely want our commander, so we can go Nature's Law first. Throw down a Tiger, and then the floating colourless from Sol Ring goes into the Gruul's Signet, and we can throw out our commander. It is daytime. Let's go for the Bloodstained Mire. I think we're going for a tap land with that. Felwar Stone for Kadeen. And they can tap that down for white mana, so do they have swords or path? They do not, or at least don't want to use it. Codie Vociferous Codex, and a Selvala Heart of the Wild for Zaxara. Did mention that we're up against 3 patrons, by the way. Big thank you to Bootleg Greedo with Kadeen, Billy Kills with Codie, and Valdrigue with Selvala. They are consistent patrons to the channel and constantly supporting me here, so massive thank you to them, I can't say it enough. We continue to draw into ramp. So, yeah, it's pretty awkward playing this thing oftentimes, so why don't we just get that into play? And that will double the power and toughness of each of our creatures at the beginning of combat, so we'll try to get rid of the Selvala, but I dare say Valdrigue just takes it here and gives us a card. I certainly don't think that we've got any chance of getting rid of Codie. So landing with the Tovolar, as I assumed we would, and getting to a werewolf, that's really good. We'll not have haste, unfortunately. So let's get another tap land into play with Verdant Catacombs and pass. Thran Dynamo coming down for Bootleg Greedo, and that sends him into Sword of Truth and Justice, 4 cards left in hand. Kills does get into his 4th land, so can activate the Codie here if he wants to. And that's exactly what he does, so making Wooburg. Kills going for Fractured Identity onto the Codie, which means we're all going to get copies of Codie. And that means we can't play permanents, that's obviously his aim there. And he got an extra turn card off there, by the way. I'll put it up on screen because I didn't get to look at it quickly enough. It was Fractured Identity that he exiled his own Codie with, so recasting the Codie now. Valdrigue going straight through to combat, swinging in at Billy Kills this time with both of his creatures. And yet more mana for us, pretty much all we've drawn into here. Yeah, so how's about we try out this Codie? We'll get Wooburg from this. When you cast your next spell, exile cards until you get an instant or sorcery. I mean, don't think that's going to be all that relevant. It's probably just going to be ramp for us. Could get into something like Rishkar's Expertise, I suppose. That might be, yeah, a little bit hopeful. So if that's going to be the case, we should probably buff the Tovolar first. So we'll go through to combat, making that an 8/8, and we'll swing in at Billy Kills, see if he wants to throw his Codie away again. He does not, so we'll get to draw at least 1 card here. That is 8 commander damage. Drawing into Rage Reflection. Now with us not being able to cast permanents, let's go for activating Codie. See what spell we can get into here. We get into Skyshroud Claim from the Cultivate, which was always going to be the likely thing that we got into, so plenty of basics to go for. And then we can of course cast the Skyshroud Claim as well. So we'll get the last of our jewels into play. And then with all this mana, nothing to do with it unfortunately, thanks to Codie still being in play. Could have got into a board wipe as well there, like Blasphemous Act, I assume we have in the deck, I can't actually remember. Yeah, we'll keep just making the plays like that with Codie. Hopefully we'll be able to get into a spell that isn't a permanent. Yeah, Kill's saying that he shouldn't have been able to cast that extra turn card, so he did have a little bit of an advantage over us there in being able to get the Codie out. But Martial Coup wiping all the creatures anyway, so all that nonsense stopping straight away, pretty much. Does mean that Codie is a fair way from coming out into play again. Should cost 7 now. We'll put Tovolar back in the command zone, of course. And it is 6 soldier tokens that were created. Now I attempt with Discovery. With the temp cards, you typically always say no to them. I don't think there's anything all that relevant for us to go for anyway. Could go for Kessig Wolf Run or some kind of tribal card like Cavern of Souls or Unclaimed Territory, but yeah, certainly not going to give Kills even more mana. Not worthy that he managed to get himself into the World Tree there. Yeah, so we're all doing the right thing in saying no, which was more difficult for Val to do because he's only on 4 cards, or 4 lands even, but doing the right thing there anyway. So Kills on 6 mana, might be able to get Codie out next turn. So Val getting into another land and going for Zaxara the Exemplary. And then it's round to our turn. We've got by far the most amount of mana here, I think. Okay, and that is a means of haste, I think. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature +1 and haste, so we'll definitely get that down. We want our commander as well. So Tovolar into play. Would be good to have the double strike as well, but we'll just get the Werewolf Pack Leader into play, I think. We can't actually afford to get the double striker in as well. We'll be 1 mana shy of that. So we'll go through to combat, see what we draw into before we make any other decisions. We're going to get a +1 buff on Tovolar first and then double up the power and toughness. That obviously gives haste as well. So jumping up to an 8/6, that's going to be 8 further commander damage onto Kills, because this deck is looking pretty scary so far. Really good top deck for us in the Reckless Stormseeker. Either way, we need to get another Wolf or Werewolf into play because it will trigger the Tovolar next turn. Kodama's Reach, I think we can cast that as well as the Pack Leader, drawing into all of our ramp this game. So we'll drop the forest that we just tutored up and go for the Pack Leader. And with that, we do control 3 werewolves and or wolves, ready for it to become night next turn. Kadeen entering play for the first time this game. Doesn't have protection from our colours yet, thankfully. Not seeing any haste either. We do see a bunch of 4/1 soldiers though. Should be able to block some of those quite well though. The protection from blue and white going on here now. So that's a 10/6 first striker. Could take Billy Kills out of the game. Does he want to be nice or not? Alright, so none of it coming in towards us because we do have decent blockers. Looks like, yeah, Greedo's being kind to Billy Kills. So it's a couple of 4/4s going at Val. Or 4/1s even, and then a single 4/1 going in at Billy Kills, so knocking him down to 14. Kills does get into another land, but it is a tapped Tricycle land, so not able to get down his commander here. Yep, and there's Life's Finale. So, Bootleg Greedo punished for being kind there. You can always assume that Codie has a lot of board wipes because it's very instants and sorceries based. And with Life's Finale, did search Greedo's library there, so getting rid of Akiri Fearless Voyager, getting rid of Hanweir Garrison, and the Hero of Bladehold. Zaxara coming back into play again for Valdrieg. And we're going to have to cast our Tovolar yet again. Alright, getting into another werewolf at least. So that comes into play again. No haste, unfortunately. We'll just set up with the Howlpack Piper, and then drop a land and pass. Only 2 cards left in hand. Kadeen coming back into play again without haste. And that is a Tenza Godo's Maul. Equip cost is only 1, and it will give it Trample, which is relevant against us. Codie coming into play yet again. They must have made another land because they do have the Teamer Tricycle land held up. And then Valdrieg going for a Nyxbloom Ancient, 5 cards left in hand, and now has triple mana. So able to still dump a bunch of mana into X on his commander. And that is an Astral Cornucopia. X is 3 on that, so that will tap for 3 mana of any one colour. Makes a 3/3 Hydra in the process. So maybe can hold up counter magic here. And then that taps down for 9, so can go for another X spell. And that is Finale of Devastation. X is not 10, thankfully. X is 7, draws 7 cards. Makes a 7/7 Hydra as well. So round to our turn we go, and guess what? We get into a forest, big surprise. So in that case we'll just go the Rootbound Crag. Argument to be made for us not playing any spells here to transform our stuff. But I think I do want this Rage Reflection down, and we'll encourage Billy Kills to block us. So that gives our creatures double strike, and so there's every chance that we have to worry about swing back here, because we are going to be tapped out, but we are encouraging Codie to go in the way of the Tovolar as well. Plus we'll draw a couple of cards thanks to the double strike, so maybe be able to put something in the way of our opponents. So Codie getting in the way of that, because otherwise Billy Kills is going to go down to commander damage. We draw a card from first strike damage, and once again draw into a land. Haven't struggled on mana this game at least. Okay, and there's an Immerwolf. So might as well just throw out the Immerwolf, I suppose. Immerwolf, by the way, is non-human werewolves you control can't transform. It's one of the better cards in the deck. I haven't actually played with it in this deck, but if we manage to transform our stuff, then we don't have to worry about them flipping back round again. I dare say we just painted a massive target on our own back, though. Maybe Greedo is less likely to be nice to kills now because he's already been punished for that with that board wipe. So maybe he does finish him off here. Kadeen getting suited and booted. That is an 11-7 at the moment with the Tanza on it, or Tenza. First Strike and Trample. Sword of the Animist has come into play as well, equipping it up with the Sword of Truth and Justice as well as the Sword of the Animist. So a 14-10, First Strike Trample, Pro White and Pro Blue. And let's see if they're going in at us. Yeah, I had a feeling that he'd do that, so just hoping that Kills doesn't have another board wipe in him. Now, there are some instant speed red spells that you can go for to give double strike. Yeah, if we had 5 toughness, or 5 power even on this, then we could actually trade, but no can do, unfortunately. So that is a plus counter on his commander, and then Proliferate is 2 plus counters, so it gets even bigger. So at the end of that, Kadeen the Prevailer ends up at a 16-12. Billy Kills just casting Treacherous Terrain there. Deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of lands that player controls. So we are all the way down to 12. This might be the end of us here. Billy Kills not going down a few turns ago has been relevant to the outcome of this game. A Replicating Ring for Valdrieg. And still got that triple mana, don't forget, 6 cards in hand. I think Val might have been forgotten about as well. So going for Mindspring, X is 16, draw X cards. So up to 21 cards in hand, making a 16-16 Hydra. Oh, and then a Mana Reflection, so, God, what is that? Doubling the mana, then tripling it? Yeah, so making 6 mana from the Replicating Ring, which takes them into a Skyclave Relic, and that was kicked. Chromatic Lantern will do a similar thing, I dare say. Then a Shadow Spear gives Trample, so can very likely get rid of us. That goes on a 7-7, making it an 8-8 lifelink Trample. Then an Evolution Sage coming into play. Don't think they've made a land yet. As well as a Fertilid, so they'll be able to make a land with that. Then going through to combat, still 15 cards in hand. And swinging in towards Greedo. Alright, well, I'm grateful for that. So not coming in towards us. Everyone's just encouraging each other to go in towards Billy Kills. No one wants to be the one that goes in and does it for some reason. Okay, so we get to flip over all of our werewolves here with the Tovolar Dire Overlord. That triggers the Wild Song Howler, so we're going to get a bit of card advantage from that. Revealing the top 6 cards. Let's see, we've got Tavern Ruffian, which is a 4 mana 6/5. Got the Huntmaster of the Fells. Yeah, and I wish they'd retcon the way that Night and Day works now. I can't have Huntmaster of the Fells come down as Ravager of the Fells as the rules stand now. And I wish they'd just change all the werewolves to the now new Night and Day mechanic. We'll get a wolf into play at least, but it doesn't matter with all this trample. Yeah, we'll just go for Huntmaster of the Fells there. And then we'll probably draw a land for the turn. No, that is a Commander's Plate. So let's see here. If we put Commander's Plate on our commander, that will be an 8-8 as it stands now, but it can buff itself. So do we get petty and punish Greedo for not getting rid of Kills and swinging in at us last turn? Yeah, suppose we could do. I say petty, there's no hard feelings in it. So then Tovolar doubles up to a 16-16. We have a 10-10 here. There is a 4-4 that can go in at Billy Kills, and we will get both the strikes onto Billy Kills that way. So it's even more card draw for us. I don't think there's anything that we can do against Valdrieg here. We've got Pro Blue, Pro White and Pro Black. But unfortunately all this stuff is green. And he does have a 16-16 in the way of us. Yeah, we're just handing it over to Val pretty much, but I think that's been done already. Even a Blasphemous Act won't get us out of this one. So it looks like Greedo's going for something here. That is a Dispatch onto one of our werewolves. So that's less card draw for us. Tovolar draws us cards from the first strike damage, and we get into some more werewolves. Daybreak Ranger, again, if it could fight something it might be relevant, but I don't think so. And then a Hound Tamer as well gives our werewolves trample. So managing to take those two out and pretty much just handing the game over to Valdrieg. We draw into, surprise surprise, even more mana. So we can just pretty much play out our hand here and pass the game over to him. And I dare say that Val is going to do something at the end of the turn here. Yep, he's generating mana and going for the Fertilid, which will trigger the Evolution Sage. Okay, did the Fertilid, must have done it twice there because I think it had 2+ counters on it. But Evolution Sage with each land that comes in is able to proliferate on all this stuff. I think he could have kept the Fertilid in play there. So going through to his turn with now 15 cards in hand and a bunch of big Hydras. Playing a land into Evolution Sage and proliferating again. So let's see here, they have a 22-22 coming in towards us. I mean, we're just dead either way here, I think. Thanks to the trample, the Shadow Spear has made all the difference here. So we'll just block like that and see how much our opponent takes us down by. And down we go, so 47 life and 14 cards in hand, pretty convincing for Val there. We go down to -8. Hopefully you all enjoyed this revisit to Tovolar. Not too many commanders that I was excited about for Crimson Vow, so if you want to see more from this commander or any from the previous sets, then be sure to let me know. Big thank you to the patrons Valdrieg, Billy Kills and Bootleg Greedo, as well as all the other patrons. You can support as well through the link in the description below if you would like. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.